Well, the trilogy of The Kissing Booth has finally given us our third and final installment with The Kissing Booth 3, and it has come to its bittersweet end. The first two movies were slightly promising with their premises of not being able to like your best friend's boyfriend to, oh no, what college should I go to? These movies have obviously been quite lighthearted with a heaping dose of cringe, but this very final movie was actually such a failure, and a bit of a mess in my opinion, with a lot of wasted potential for character development and proper plot focuses. And that brings me to my first point. The plot really goes all over the place very quickly, and it's supposed to be about Al's and Lee's final bucket list, and this could have been actually super meaningful if it wasn't for the endless amount of side plots. Let me just list them all out for you. Al getting accepted into college, Al and Marco having a friendship that sparks problems between her and Noah, Lee and Rachel having their own problems, Al's dad who starts dating Linda, Chloe and Noah start having a friendship, Chloe's parents are divorcing and she makes it a big deal, Lee and Al's having problems over their bucket list due to Al being busy, the beach house is being sold, and Al and Noah are breaking up. So as you can see, there is quite a lot of things going on in the space of 1 hour and 52 minutes. Too much things, like honestly, who even approved of all of this? I'm actually sure that there's stuff that I even left out as well. This is what makes it feel extremely hard to keep up with as the movie goes along, and we never actually get even just one slow moment until the very end, and even that felt so rushed. I would honestly say it all felt kind of thrown together, and too much time was spent on these scenes that I really didn't think mattered as much. I also think some of the plots could have been shortened or completely eradicated from the beginning to help with the whole pacing issue. For instance, we definitely didn't need a side plot about Al's dad meeting someone new and having her feeling insecure about letting someone who isn't her mum into her life. I get this may have been an important part for growth and development on Al's part, but it just really felt like there were all these loose ends that we were rushing to tie up in order to have Al go off to college all refreshed. A more important plot point would have us seeing Al actually develop her interest in video games instead of springing it on us in the last 20 minutes of the movie. I mean, I literally didn't even know she liked video games apart from Dance Dance Revolution, because it was never mentioned in any of the other movies either. This would have been a much better plot focus so that we actually get to see Al struggle on her dilemma of which college to go to for a good reason, instead of it just being about Lee and Noah. But instead, we literally got 5 seconds of her playing a video game and suddenly she wanted to program them. Because the trilogy of movies is actually all about Al and her life, we'd be much better off seeing this point of view to get to understand more about Al rather than just see her focus on romantic relationships and friendships. I do get that's the point of the ending. She realizes, or rather Noah realizes, that she needs to make the decision of where she wants to go regardless of where he is, but it's not until that point that we actually see Al break away and do what she wants. Yet she was literally made out to be such a headstrong character who wouldn't bend to the will of others. The other thing that bothers me about the pacing and the use of multiple side stories is that they basically took the premises from the first two movies, which were about Al's relationship with Noah, and then in the second movie it was about Marcus and Lee and Rachel. And we're basically given a half-baked plot about how it will all go down. Add some more jealousy, some indecisiveness about where to go to college, and a glimpse of the kissing booth and we have a plot. It kind of made no sense to me to bring up these old plot points like at all. I get the idea behind why Marco came back since he'd said he'd always wait for Al and that was almost foreshadowing his return, but it just felt like things we'd already seen before in the previous movies, and that gets tiring and overplayed. We already saw Marco versus Noah, and we already saw the Rachel and Lee plot, and it just felt like I was watching a remake of the first two movies thrown in. I also don't get why this whole manly boyfriend who gets into fistfights thing needs to be brought up more than one time. It's kind of toxic and really not cute when guys fight over a girl or fight in general. So I really felt like that was something they should have left behind in the last two films, period. I just feel like bringing up these specific things we've literally already seen or taking away from other plot points or ideas that could have been visited that we've never seen before. Like how I mentioned earlier, Al finding her passion for what she wants to do as a focus alongside her beach bucket list with Lee. There was so much potential for this best friend duo to have an incredible last summer together for a simple and cute movie with a bit of tension thrown in. but we were actually really deprived of it with the amount of busyness and all over the place nature of the plot. Another reason why this movie is a bit of a mess and a disaster is the wasted potential for character development. Al was seemingly a headstrong character, barely had any development until the last 20 minutes of the third movie. I get that these movies aren't supposed to be taken seriously, they're just supposed to be fun and lighthearted, with equal amounts of cringe, but I still felt like there should be a level of care taken when a plot is thought out, especially when there are 3 movies involved. If we watched all of the Harry Potter movies and Harry, Ron and Hermione showed no character growth, improvement, or self-awareness to an extent, we'd probably be a little bored with the characters. But we loved them because, well, Harry grew stronger as the years went on to face Voldemort. Hermione used her intelligence to work smarter, and Ron used his strength to do things he liked. While Al, she just felt really undeveloped to me. She was supposed to be the strong girl who could stick up for herself, yet she couldn't even tell 3 of the girls she's friends with that her name was Al instead of Ellen. It seemed like she was just a constant character, never really changing until the last part of the movie, and even then, she was still just a constant character. There wasn't really any depth to her at all. I felt like we hardly knew her aside from the fact that she had a raging crush on Noah and a mum who had died. I mean, we didn't even know she wanted to be a video game developer until the last 20 minutes or so into the third movie. Maybe more time should have been spent here developing her interests and depth as a character so we could be rooting for her instead of just rooting for her relationship. I think one person who actually did show a bit of development was Noah, for 5 seconds anyway. Noah at least had half of a brain cell that stopped him from hitting Marco back and telling Elle they should break up so she can focus on herself. It was probably the only smart thing he'd suggested the whole movie, considering how insecure and quick he was to pick a fight with Elle about the bucket list, even though she was literally going to be moving to be next to him. Like, dude, you'll have all the time in the world to give her a romantic dinner. Or, communicate like a normal person and say, hey, I'm sorry about yesterday, let's do something cute tonight. Then you would literally have avoided being mad because you'd know she's actually busy, bro. Okay, I take it back. Maybe Noah never grew at all. Lee just felt more like I'm here for plot purposes character. He didn't have any growth at all either. He was purely existing as Noah's brother and Elle's best friend, and that was really it. So I really felt like in a movie where it's coming to an end of the trilogy, we'd be more inclined to see some development of the characters being depicted. And that brings me to my last point, the depiction of the characters. The depiction of Elle, Noah, Lee, Rachel, and even Chloe just made me feel like there was a whole lot of privilege being thrown around. Firstly, Lee's family literally had a massive mansion and a beach house, and yet Lee was out there throwing a tantrum about it being sold because it had a lot of memories. Their whole family just reeked of privilege, and it felt really uncomfortable to see them whining about selling a house that they don't really use anymore. I get that places and things hold memories for us, but it really felt so annoying to watch when they already had a house 10 times bigger than the average person. I mean, Lee even owns a 1965 Ford Mustang. Some people only dream about having cars like that, or having one house, let alone 2. Then we had a heaping dose of privilege with Chloe as well. She was seemingly well off considering she was sitting on a yacht or a boat owned by her parents. I know money doesn't make things better, and her parents fighting and getting a divorce was probably a big deal for her, as it would be for any person. But the plot point felt super unnecessary and just made me feel like I was listening to Super Rich Kids by Frank Ocean. Elle wasn't so bad in that respect. She was still quite humble. She drove a normal car, and we knew of her struggles in the first place. But the rest of the characters were just not doing it for me. In summary, I think this movie could have done better in regard to their plot and overall character development. I feel they kind of failed Joey King because she is an incredible actress with so much talent. If you've seen the act, you would know that, and I know this role is supposed to be lighthearted, but I still think that these points, if they had been taken into consideration, we may have been able to end The Kissing Booth 3 on a much better foot. The ending was satisfying, I would say, but the in-between just didn't do it for me. Maybe you guys agree, or completely disagree, but I'd love to know your initial thoughts on The Kissing Booth 3, so let me know down below. Did you love it? Hate it? Was it satisfying, or did it leave you feeling annoyed? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for whatever's next on screen. Thanks for watching, guys.